In Delphi, information can be stored in variables, just the same way as we did in Scratch. Variables must be declared, and in this example I am going to declare them inside this button. We declare variables above the body of the code, which starts with the word begin, and below the heading of the procedure or the button that I'm in. So just below the heading of the procedure I write the word var. That gives the program the indication that a variable is going to be created or declared. Then I follow this by the name of the variables. So I have two variables here called sSubject and sName, and they are followed by a colon, which now tells the program that it is going to be followed by the type of variable we are declaring. And in this case, the type of variable is called string. So variable declaration is done directly after the first line, starts with the word var, then followed by the names of the variables or the identifiers of the variables. They can be separated by a comma, and then a colon, and that must be followed by the data type. This can also be done on two lines. So I'm going to take away the comma, press enter, and then up in the top line I'm going to go back and put in the word string, and here I have sName on its own line as well. Now variable is valid for both of these lines, so I can even put it like this. Before these two lines of code have been executed, these variables do not exist. This is the place where they come into existence. Remember, this is the variable name or the identifier name. This is a line where the variable gets its value for the first time. I'm using an edit called edtName, and I'm using its text property to get values from the keyboard and store it into the variable called sName. Notice that between sName and the edit box I have a colon equals. This is the assign operator. This operator takes whatever's on the right hand side and puts it into whatever's on the left hand side. This can only happen if whatever's on the left hand side, sName, and what is on the right hand side is of the same data type. Now we know that sName is of the data type string, and we are using the text property of edtName, and text and strings are the same. Let's run our program and see what this does. I have the two edits. Let's put John into the first one, and the subject we'll call maths, and click on the button. And suddenly I have two lines of stars, and in between them John and maths. So let's look at what the code did. In the first two lines I get values from the keyboard and store them into these two variable names. Then these four are output lines. I am printing values into the rich edit. In the first line, these characters between the apostrophes, single inverted commas, are also strings, and they are put into the rich edit. Then I use the variable name in order to print its contents. So sName gets a value in line 1 over here, and sSubject gets a value in line 2 over here, and these values stored inside the variable names are printed when these lines are executed. Let's run the program again and put in different values. Let's put in the value, all those strange characters at the top, and down here let's put in some numbers. And click on enter, and you can see that Delphi does not care what has been entered into a string property or into an edit box which has a text property. It regards all of these characters as strings. As a matter of fact, any combination of things that can be printed on your keyboard is regarded as a string character or a text character. I want to show you a different way of getting some input values for my variable names. So I'm going to highlight all of this and replace it with input box. Input box works as follows. When Delphi sees this line, it will produce a pop-up which has this name between the first two apostrophes, and then between the second set of apostrophes you can put an input prompt In other words, you give the user some clues as to what to do. And between the third set of apostrophes, you can put a default value, a value that you would like to appear. So let's put in the value name here now. I'm going to also remove the edit box just for now, and the label, and run my program. So now I must enter a subject. Let's still call this maths. Click on enter, and suddenly I have a pop-up of an input box, and it has a default value of name. I could have made this empty so that nothing appears there, and let's put John again. Click on OK, and suddenly the input from the input box appears as the name, and maths is received from the edit. Delphi allows us to produce some output in a different way. Let's have a look at this line. Get my indentation right. Readout.lines.add, and then I have an inverted comma or an apostrophe, and I put some text in here. Remember, anything between two apostrophes or single inverted commas is regarded as text. Then I have the plus operator. That means add this text to that text. And notice that this is the variable name. It is not in inverted commas. So the contents of sname should be added to the contents between these two single inverted commas. Let's run our program and see. Let's put in the subject maths and click enter and put in the name of Johnny. Click on OK, and now we are interested in this last line. The name which was entered was Johnny. So in summary, in these two lines, the variables are created or declared. In this line, the variable gets a value. So there's a difference between creating the variable and giving values to the variable. Creating the variable uses a colon, and assigning a value to the variable uses a colon equals.